Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Dimensional Chosen. Only I know Saitama is the strongest. Chapter 1. I'm going to take the college entrance examination soon, I'm so nervous. Yes, I don't know what hero I can be compatible with this time. If it can match the trembling tornado, it will be prosperous. Do you still want to shudder at the tornado? As long as it's an S-class hero, anyone will do. Brother, are you sure? Is King ranked 7th, okay. Except for King, which is a scam, everything else will work. Ha ha ha, King is actually not bad, at least its momentum can scare people. You guys are so big-hearted and keep talking about S-class heroes. Do you really think that your compatibility with S-class heroes is nothing? As long as I can successfully connect with an A-level hero, I will be satisfied. Everyone is just talking, do you still take it seriously? Hearing the commotion around him, Fang Yi, who had just woken up, looked confused. What are these people talking about? Trembling tornado, S-class hero, One Punch Man manga. But what does this have to do with assessment? And Fang Yi remembered that he was sleeping at home, but how could he open his eyes and find himself in a classroom? All around are young high school students. Even Fang Yi was wearing a school uniform. What's going on? I will graduate from college early tomorrow and have been working for 2 years. Why am I back in high school? Traveled through time, Fang Yi murmured to himself. This is the only possibility at the moment that can explain everything in front of him. Just as he was thinking like this, suddenly, Fang Yi's brain felt a strong sting, as if something had forcefully penetrated into his brain. Fang Yi couldn't help but groaned, and lay directly on the table. The memory was broken and integrated into Fang Yi's mind, for a long time. The pain gradually disappeared, and Fang Yi slowly came back to his senses. It turns out that I really traveled through time. Based on the memory in his body, Fang Yi knew that he had come to another world. This world is very similar to the human civilization on Earth in the previous life. It also has the internet and smartphones. However, humans in this world face huge threats. Outside the high city wall, there are powerful alien monsters that are eyeing humans. It is precisely because of this that many strong men have been born among humans. Without these strong men turning the tide, mankind might have become extinct long ago. However, the source of these strong human beings' power is not cultivated by themselves. Instead, gain strength in various forbidden places, distributed throughout the world. Some forbidden areas are very dangerous, such as zombie forbidden areas, ghost forbidden areas, etc. There are also very safe forbidden areas. What those students just discussed was the safest forbidden area, One Punch Man. All adults over the age of 18 have an opportunity to choose to match up with the heroes in One Punch Man. Once the match is successful, you can obtain the basic abilities of those heroes. For example, the Trembling Tornado. If someone is completely compatible with the Trembling Tornado, they can gain the power of the Little Tornado, become a strong seed, and be specially recruited by key universities. Then, slowly increase your mental power and become as strong as Little Tornado. Guard humanity. Then, the forbidden area of One Punch Man is also known as the Holy Land of Heroes. The official has even made it clear that the forbidden areas of One Punch Man have been included in the college entrance examination, and it is still the most important college entrance examination subject. Because the terrifying beasts outside the wall need strong men to suppress them. After a while, a middle-aged female teacher walked into the classroom. Seeing the teacher arriving, the chatter in the classroom quickly disappeared. The female teacher glanced at all the students and said slowly, "Students, this next class will be the last time I teach you, because you are about to take the assessment. I hope that you will all get good results in the next Hero Holy Land assessment. Teacher sincerely hopes that you will have a bright future. Okay, time is running out, let's go to class next. I have taught everything that needs to be taught, so there is no new knowledge for you in this class. Let's talk about some key points of the Heroic Holy Land assessment. The Hero Holy Land assessment, also called the Newcomer assessment, is familiar to everyone, and I believe you have been looking forward to it for a long time. Everyone here should be over 18 years old, right? Seeing that no one raised any objections, the teacher continued. Before entering the Holy Land, you must choose your target hero in advance, because everyone has only one chance. Success can change your destiny. If you fail, you will lose this rare opportunity, and you may only be an ordinary person forever. It is recommended that everyone must choose a hero that suits them as a compatible target. Because every time you match, there is a failure rate. The higher the ranking of the hero, the greater the failure rate when you match with them. Especially for S-class heroes, the success rate is extremely low. The so-called compatibility can actually be understood as a test for heroes to test their successors, and those S-class heroes are extremely proud existences. It's hard for ordinary people to catch their eyes. Since the emergence of the Holy Land, very few people have been favored by S-class heroes. Therefore, I do not recommend that everyone make S-class heroes their first choice. Because S-class heroes have high vision, it is very difficult to successfully cooperate with them. I suggest that you refer more to A-level heroes. There are many A-level heroes with very powerful abilities. Their development potential is no weaker than that of S-level heroes. The success rate of matching will also be higher. As for B-level heroes, there are quite a few, and they are very worthy of everyone's matching. For example, the first B-level hero, Fubuki, has very good abilities. As for C-level heroes, I don't need to say more, right? Anyone who can target C-level heroes is either brave or has a brain problem. When the teacher said this, the students in the classroom burst into laughter. C-level heroes are the most rubbish heroes are not much better than ordinary people. This is all common sense. Unless you are a fool. Otherwise, no one would target C-level heroes. The teacher added, it is true that the success rate of C-class hero compatibility is very high, almost as high as over 90%. But the only opportunity to lay the foundation was wasted, just to gain a little more power than ordinary people. There is no doubt that is very stupid. There once was a talented person who did not believe in evil. He targeted the undocumented knight, the number 1 C-class hero, and then succeeded. Now many years have passed, and that person is now selling pirated H-books, and he was arrested not long ago. PFF'd. After hearing this, the students burst into laughter again. Fang Yi was also laughing. But he was sneering. These people know absolutely nothing about C-class heroes. As a time traveler, of course Fang Yi, you know, there is a real dragon hidden among the C-class heroes. His name is Saitama. I believe everyone who has watched One Punch Man knows how strong Saitama is. In his previous life on Earth, Fang Yi was still a fan of Saitama. Fang Yi has read both the anime and manga of One Punch Man. He is the absolute protagonist of One Punch Man, the invincible being who breaks the limiter, nicknamed the Bald Demon King. S-class heroes are indeed very strong. Especially the trembling Tatsumaki, which can control all things and even summon meteorites to attack enemies, just like a god. But in front of the Bald Devil, this kind of strength is still not enough. As long as Saitama is serious, he can defeat the small Tatsumaki with one punch. As for Saitama, why he was judged as a C-class hero is a complete cheating accident. The written test cannot be used. The teacher and the surrounding students all regard C-class heroes as garbage. They obviously do not understand the world of One Punch Man, and who is the real one. Protagonist. I guess the same goes for everyone else in this world. Now, Fang Yi is the only one who knows the details of Saitama. His goal of becoming a hero has been determined. Regarding Saitama's true strength, Fang Yi would definitely not be stupid enough to tell others. If someone asked him how he got this information, he would not be able to explain. In addition, if he really said it, others would not believe that a bald man who looked ordinary could possess invincible power. There is no One Punch Man anime in this world. Everyone's understanding of the heroes is almost determined by their level rankings. The teacher just said that the success rate of matching with C-level heroes is actually as high as over 90%. With such a success rate, as long as the matching is not repeated, almost all matches will be successful. Think of this. Fang Yi's eyes lit up, and he couldn't hide the joy on his face. If he successfully merges with Saitama and acquires Saitama's physique, wouldn't he be sure to become an invincible strongman in the future? No need to work too hard. Just keep exercising every day. When his hair goes bald, he will become stronger. For the sake of strong power, Fang Yi doesn't mind being bald. The teacher's voice continued. There is really nothing to say about C-class heroes. Even if the match is successful, it will not be of much use and you can only go to Pheasant University. Next, I will talk about S-class heroes in detail. Hearing this, the students perked up. Feng Yi also showed an interested look, wondering how much people in this world know about S-class heroes. There are 17 S-class heroes in total, and each one is very powerful. But, not all S-class heroes are suitable candidates. For example, Blast, who ranks first among S-class heroes, cannot be selected. There are also S-class heroes, the 6th Metal Knight, the 9th Drive Knight, and the 17th Genos. They are not suitable as suitable candidates because they are either robots or modified humans. In addition, among S-class heroes, there is still a big pitfall that needs attention. Everyone should know who I am talking about, right? The students burst into laughter. Someone had already shouted, "It's the 7th hero king." The teacher also smiled and said, "Yes, it is the 7th hero, king. He has the title of the strongest hero on the surface. In fact, he is just an ordinary person. Apart from his scary appearance, he has almost no redeeming features. If you choose him, even if the compatibility is successful, it will only make your heart beat loudly when you are scared." These words made the classroom full of joy. In addition to the 7th hero king, there are some heroes who are not suitable as suitable candidates. For example, the pig god in the 10th place, the prisoner in the 16th place. The former relies on eating to become stronger and has an infinite appetite. If someone succeeds in marrying the pig god, I am afraid that ordinary families will not be able to support you. Hearing this, the students laughed again. The teacher pressed it with his hand and continued, "As for the unusual prisoner, I won't go into details. His detailed information is available on the internet. You can experience it for yourself. There are many S-class heroes that are suitable for everyone, and the strongest among them is undoubtedly the trembling Tatsumaki. Her telekinesis is so powerful that she can easily destroy a city. The #1 expert in our country, Ms. Zhao Lingrong, is the one who successfully combined with the trembling tornado and has super telekinesis. She is also the only one so far who can successfully match the trembling tornado. As for how Ms. Zhao achieves success, everyone must know that she relies on willpower." When the teacher talked about this Ms. Zhao, many students in the classroom showed admiration and yearning. Obviously, this Ms. Zhao is quite famous. Maybe she is a national idol. In addition to the trembling Tatsumaki, the 3rd-placed Silver Fang, the 4th-placed Atomic Samurai, and the 13th-placed Flash are all very powerful S-class heroes, and their abilities are also very suitable as fitting goals for normal people. Hearing this, Feng Yi nodded secretly. From what this teacher said, it can be explained that the humans in this world know the S-class heroes in One Punch Man very well. It's a pity that they don't know that in the world of One Punch Man, the truly invincible strongmen are currently hidden among the C-class heroes. After talking about S-level heroes, next, let me talk about A-level heroes. The teacher continued, "As for A-level heroes, they are definitely a lot worse than S-level heroes, but some heroes still have some merits in their abilities. The first A-level hero is Sweetheart Mask. He has powerful self-healing ability. The second A-class hero is Hetatsu, the 3rd Chu Wutaki, and the 4th Samurai Drill. These 3 are all disciples of the S-class hero Atomic Samurai. The 5th A-level hero is the Heavy Tank." The teacher on the podium spoke in great detail. Let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each hero. The students in the audience also listened very carefully, including Feng Yi. After the teacher finished talking about all the A-level heroes, his tone suddenly became serious. "Classmates, the information I just mentioned was collected by countless ancestors who used their precious opportunities to try one by one and then collected it. It is very precious. We must be grateful to those ancestors. The country makes this information public to benefit society, so that everyone can avoid detours and allow more strong people to emerge. I don't know if you still remember how many people died in the world during the last wave of alien beasts. That's 74.46 million people. As soon as this number came out, the classroom suddenly fell into silence. Only the teacher's voice continued. "Students, you are the future of the motherland. From now on, when the older generation of strong people decline, this country will rely on you to support it. Stand up. I hope everyone can take on this responsibility." I won't say more about chicken soup for the soul. Finally, I wish everyone a good result in the Holy Land assessment. Having said this, the teacher looked at his watch and said, "It's almost time. Everyone, follow me to the playground." On the playground, all the senior high school students are gathered here. All I saw was darkness, at least hundreds of people. As there were more people, all kinds of discussions naturally increased, and the whole playground was noisy. Every student's face showed excitement, anxiety, and anticipation. Because next, this is the moment that affects their destiny. Quiet. A low shout spread throughout the entire playground. This sound seemed to ring in the ears of every student, making their eardrums roar and their heads dizzy. Countless students immediately shut up and looked towards the podium in surprise. A middle-aged man, I don't know when, I was already standing on the podium. The principal's lion's roar skill is even more sharp. I don't know if I can pass the first test. If I can pass, I also plan to take the warrior route. If you take the warrior route, then you meet the hero goal. It is best to choose Silver Fang or Atomic Samurai. Come on, stop digging holes for me. I will definitely not think about S-class heroes. The success rate is too low. My goal is A-class heroes, apprentices of Atomic Samurai. In Fang Yi's ears, he heard two students discussing quietly. At this time, the principal's voice sounded from the podium. Classmates, today is the day of your college entrance examination. Whether you are a dragon or a worm, it all depends on your next performance. Teachers from major universities have been waiting at the Holy Land of Heroes for a long time, including Martial God College. They all have special recruitment quotas. As long as you perform well, you can enter prestigious universities. Have you understood? Got it. Hundreds of students shouted at the top of their lungs, and the scene was quite spectacular. Many students looked excited when they heard the words, Martial God College. This is the best university in the country. Very good. The principal nodded with satisfaction, pointed to the buses at the school gate, and said, all students, according to their classes, will follow their class teachers to get on the bus, and everyone will set off to the Holy Land of Heroes. In every city, there is a forbidden area branch of One Punch Man. 20 minutes later, bus after bus came to a huge building in the suburbs. Classmates, we are already here. Please line up and get off the bus with me. Don't get separated. The class teacher in the car shouted and got out of the car first. Fang Yi followed the classmates in the class, lined up and got off the car together. At this time, the surrounding parking lot was already filled with teachers and students. It was very lively. Obviously, today is the day of the college entrance examination, so all the senior high school students in the city have gathered here. However, what attracts Fang Yi most is not the excitement around him, but the huge building in front of him. This building is about 2 meters high, 10 meters, the overall shape is pyramid-shaped, covering a large area, with doors on all sides for entry. It is the Holy Land of Heroes. Almost all students look at the Holy Land of Heroes with a trace of yearning. The head teacher sees him after all the students got off the bus. They shouted loudly, students, follow me, don't get separated. Hearing this, the students followed the class teacher towards the holy place with expectant looks. Once inside, there was a huge hall with countless students queuing up. Fang Yi could see that in the center of the hall, there was a ray of light. Under the guidance of the teacher, students walked into the light gate one by one and came out a few minutes later. Their faces were full of joy when they succeeded. Most of the students looked depressed. Obviously, it is not easy to succeed when it comes to conforming to a hero. Purple, A-level hero. Someone has successfully matched with an A-level hero. Suddenly, Fang Yi heard a lot of exclamations coming from around him, and even the teachers seemed very excited. Fang Yi's eyes immediately looked towards the light door. At this moment, there were bright lights on the light door. There was a dazzling purple light. A girl with a cold temperament walked out of it. Then, Fang Yi saw that many teachers rushed towards the girl and surrounded the girl, seeming to ask, what are you wearing? It turns out that those who appear with purple light are those who have successfully matched with A-level heroes. So the green light must have successfully integrated with the B-class hero, right? I heard from others that if you successfully combine with an S-class hero, a red light will appear. If C-level heroes are successfully matched, what color will appear? Single quote. Fang Yi was thinking as he looked around and found that many students looked at the girl surrounded by teachers with envious looks in their eyes. About half an hour later. Finally, it was the turn of Fang Yi's class to take the assessment. During this period, several more students with purple grades appeared in the hall. They were all the lucky ones who successfully matched with A-level heroes. However, those lucky ones are all from other schools. The teachers in this school all secretly held their breath. Students, don't be nervous, follow the goals in your mind, the teacher believes in you. Tan Wenbin, you come first. Tan Wenbin is the class monitor. He usually performs well in school and has strong willpower. He is also a good candidate for whom the class teacher has high hopes. The class teacher first asked Tan Wenbin to try to fit in. Apparently, he thought that Tan Wenbin had a high chance of success in matching, and then encouraged other students in the class. The morale of the students. Hearing the voice of the class teacher, Tan Wenbin immediately stepped out of the queue and walked into the light door. However, if you want to successfully integrate with the hero, it depends not only on willpower. Sometimes luck also plays a big part. A moment later. Tan Wenbin walking out of the light gate, his face was full of frustration. There was no other reaction from the light gate. Obviously, the fit failed. The head teacher's face changed, and his plan failed. Zhao Fangfang, come here. The class teacher didn't care about the loser anymore and ordered him again. Unfortunately, this girl named Zhao Fangfang also failed. She failed to call the general twice in a row, which not only damaged the morale of other students in the class, but also made the class teacher feel a little sad. Frustrated. You, all line up. Students walked into the light door one by one, and failed one by one. Soon, it was Fang Yi's turn. When Fang Yi stepped into the light door, the surrounding scenery changed immediately. There are all kinds of colors all around, all kinds of weird. It's like entering a dreamlike world. Please select the hero you want to match. As the prompt appeared, countless images of heroes appeared in front of Fang Yi for him to choose from. Fang Yi didn't look at the column for S-level heroes, nor did he look at the A-level or B-level heroes. He had already set his target, and looked directly at the column of C-level heroes, searching quickly. Soon, a bald young man with a dull expression and a strange painting style appeared in Fang Yi's sight. Saitama. Fang Yi was excited and directly chose Saitama. Next moment, the surrounding scene changed again, turning into a pure white world. And the bald demon king Saitama, at some point, was already standing in front of Fang Yi. Seeing Saitama in person, Fang Yi was startled at first, then immediately calmed down and looked at Saitama expectantly. Saitama on the other side seemed to be sizing up Fang Yi. After a long time, Saitama suddenly said, "After all this time, you are still the first person to choose me." Fang Yi was stunned. Unexpectedly, Saitama would still speak. Didn't the teacher say that heroes don't say much to contractors? If they look right, they'll be compatible, if they don't, they'll ignore you. What's going on with Saitama in front of me? Without waiting for Fang Yi to answer, Saitama spoke again. This time it's a problem. What do you want with my power? Fang Yi immediately realized that this question was very important, related to whether he could succeed in the contract. He fell into deep thought. Saitama did not urge him, and just looked at Fang Yi indifferently. After a long time, Fang Yi had an idea and replied, "I want to be a hero." Simple answer. No sensationalism. Open double angle bracket. In the original plot of One Punch Man, Saitama is very naive, and wanting to be a hero is just his interest, and he has no ambition to save the world. Therefore, Fang Yi is gambling. I bet my words can resonate with Saitama. After Fang Yi finished his answer, the atmosphere became somewhat silent. Finally, amid Fang Yi's anxiety, Saitama laughed. So, please be a qualified hero and don't tarnish the title of hero. After the words fell, Saitama's whole body turned into a stream of light and poured into Fang Yi's body. And a prompt sounded in Fang Yi's mind. Congratulations, you successfully matched with the C-class hero, bald-caped man, and obtained Saitama's physique. Saitama's physique. Through regular exercise, you can become infinitely stronger. In the Holy Land Hall. In the head teacher's ears, the students' exclamations suddenly came. The light door is on. It's Fang Yi, that boy's compatibility was successful. When the distracted head teacher heard this, he was suddenly surprised and happy, and quickly looked towards the light gate. However, the color that appeared on the light gate was not purple, which represents A-class heroes, nor is it red, which represents S-class heroes. It's not the green color that represents B-level heroes, but gray. Why is it gray? What level of hero is this? Aren't they generally three colors? Purple, green, and red. Yes, I've never heard of it, and it's gray. The students were all talking and looking curious. The head teacher's face turned ugly. He knows what gray means. Gray. That's the color that will only appear after successfully integrating with a C-level hero. There was once a person who became a huge laughingstock after he successfully matched with the undocumented knight, the number 1 C-class hero. Thinking of this, the head teacher's face suddenly darkened. He would rather his students fail to get along than become a laughingstock and bring discredit to the school. That light is gray. Ouch, it's really gray. I really didn't expect that there are still talents who choose C-level heroes. Which school? The school uniform looks like it belongs to No. 3 Middle School. Haha, this kid really brought glory to No. 3 Middle School. No. 3 Middle School is also considered a key high school. The emergence of such a character really makes me don't know what to say. Not far away, several teachers noticed the gray light on the light door and talked about it one after another. There was a bit of gloating in the tone, obviously they were watching a joke. Moreover, these teachers did not let go when they discussed. The sound was low, and the space in the hall was not particularly large, so most people heard it. Many students had expressions of disbelief when they heard this. It turns out that gray represents C-level heroes. Gained knowledge. Fang Yi actually chose a C-level hero. Is there something wrong with your brain? If you choose a C-level hero, even if you can go to college, you can only go to a pheasant university, which is just a waste of money. I thought this guy had some shitty luck and successfully matched with some powerful hero. I didn't expect him to be a C-level hero, haha. I would rather fail to cooperate than waste a C-level hero. The principal is here too. Look at the principal's face, he seems very angry. Fang Yi is going to be in trouble. Hear the chatter around him. The head teacher looked very ugly. He also noticed the principal. Seeing the principal looking at him with an angry face, the head teacher knew that his bonus for this semester was gone, and he might still be criticized. Thinking of this, the head teacher was very angry at the culprit, Fang Yi, and suppressed a surge of anger in his heart. At this moment, Fang Yi walked out of the light door with excitement and joy on his face. Seeing Fang Yi like this, the head teacher became even more angry. How? You've matched up with a trashy C-level hero, and you still think you're awesome. Fang Yi, without saying a word, the head teacher stepped forward and cursed. What's wrong with you? Who told you to choose a useless C-level hero? Do you want to make the whole school a laughingstock? We are a key high school, how come we have an unsatisfactory student like you? In front of so many people. These words of the head teacher can be said to be merciless. Fang Yi, who was still excited just now, suddenly frowned. Not all C-level heroes are trash. How? Are you still refuting me? Still not admitting your mistake? The head teacher looked at Fang Yi with an angry look on his face and said, C-level heroes are all trash. This is a recognized fact. Do you still think you can find treasure among C-level heroes? Teacher, I'll put my words here today. Fang Yi, if you become successful in the future, even if you can kill a strange beast, teacher, I will kowtow to you in public and apologize. Fang Yi looked at the head teacher calmly. This is what you said. Throwing these words, Fang Yi turned around and left. Anyway, he has got what he wanted. Even if the school does not issue him a diploma and he cannot go to college, it doesn't matter. Looking at Fang Yi's back, the head teacher he cursed angrily. I really don't know what to say, it makes me so angry. You must not follow his example. The students said, yes, one after another, and the head teacher's face became better. You go on to test. The next person who came out of the queue was a girl who looked very delicate. Not long after the girl walked into the light door, a dazzling red color suddenly appeared on the light door. Red. It's an S-class hero. Oh my god, someone has successfully matched with an S-class hero. Suddenly, the whole hall was shocked. Red. That is the color that will appear after successfully integrating with the S-class hero. The head teacher's face immediately turned from anger to joy, full of excitement. When the girl walked out of the light door, the head teacher he quickly greeted them, and the specially recruited teachers from the universities also ran over, ready to snatch people. No one expected that in such a small place, a lucky person who successfully matched with an S-class hero would appear. Looking at it, seeing his students being competed by countless colleges and universities, the head teacher showed a happy smile. As for the student, Fang Yi, who made him angry, he had long been forgotten by the head teacher. Fang Yi naturally couldn't see the lively scene in the hall. At this moment, he has arrived outside. He didn't stop, just hailed a taxi and took a taxi home. Fang Yi's home is a 2-bedroom apartment. His parents died in an accident, and this 2-bedroom apartment was the most valuable property left to him by his parents. Return home. The home is empty. Fang Yi was sitting on the sofa in the living room and suddenly said, "Open the properties panel." Suddenly, a strange phenomenon appeared. In front of Fang Yi, a holographic projection panel appeared out of thin air. It recorded Fang Yi's current physical attribute data. Name: Fang Yi. Race: human. Physique: 10. Spirit: 8. Strength: 9. Agility: 11. Bloodline: Saitama's physique awakened. Note: for a normal adult male, the average of the 4 basic attributes is 10. This is Fang Yi's current data. The attribute panel will appear automatically after successfully matching with the hero. Every successful fit has one, but it will be different. For example, after successfully integrating with Little Tornado, the superpower item will appear on the personal attribute panel. If the match with the hero fails, there will naturally be no attribute panel. Therefore, there is a saying that success will change your destiny. With Saitama's physique, as long as I exercise well, I can become infinitely stronger, right? How did Saitama train in the first place? It seems like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every day. I looked at the time, it was only around 12 noon. Conveniently planned to start exercising today. He went out for lunch, then rested for half an hour and started exercising. First, there was the 10-kilometer long run, which took Fang Yi a full hour. Then 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats. Of course, with Fang Yi's current physical strength, it is impossible to complete these sports in one go. He does them while resting. Fortunately, I have a good physical foundation and I usually like to play ball. Otherwise, people with poor physical fitness may not be able to complete these sports in one day. A few hours later, the sun had set. When Fang Yi, who was covered in sweat, opened his attribute panel again, he was pleasantly surprised to find that his personal attributes, except for his mental attributes, had almost doubled. Name: Fang Yi. Race: human. Physique: 18. Spirit: 9. Strength: 19. Agility: 17. Bloodline: Saitama physique awakened. After just a few hours of exercise, my attributes have skyrocketed. Fang Yi was overjoyed to see such results. As expected of someone who has broken the limiter, this physique is simply a godlike one. The best thing about Saitama's physique is that it's easy to become stronger. You just need to keep exercising. Unlike other physiques, which require various stringent conditions to activate and become stronger. In the original plot, Saitama trained for 3 years to become bald and invincible. I can definitely afford to wait for 3 years. When he said this, Fang Yi suddenly laughed. He had already imagined that 3 years later, he would punch the earth with all his strength and give the earth a middle part. As for whether he would become bald, Fang Yi didn't care at all. Return home. Fang Yi took a shower first, then picked up his phone and found that there were many missed calls and text messages on his phone. When he went out to exercise in the afternoon, he didn't bring his cell phone with him. Most of the missed calls were from the same person. Based on the memory in his body, Fang Yi knew that this person was his best friend, and the two often went to the internet cafe to spend nights playing games together. Fang Yi did not call back, but opened the text message, starting from the first one, and checked the content of the text message. Lao Fang, you are so awesome, you almost made my old class teacher, head teacher, furious. Ha ha ha, you didn't see that after you left, Lao Ban's face turned purple, like pig liver. It was so refreshing. Oh my gosh, Sao Jingjing from our class has successfully matched up with the S-class hero Flash. The entire assessment site went crazy, and even the city leaders were alarmed. This fool will definitely have a bright future in the future. I'm really envious. The old classmate is happy again. Seeing him look happy makes the labor and management unhappy. Lao Feng, your efforts are in vain, but the good thing is that the old classmate and the principal are very happy, so they probably won't punish you. I failed to become the S-class hero, Atomic Samurai. That fool just looked at me and kicked me out. Why don't you answer the phone? Lao Feng, you can't think too hard, right? Hurry up and answer the phone, aren't you a C-level hero? At any rate, you have successfully matched. It's much better than us losers, what's there to think about? Lao Feng, be more open-minded and don't act recklessly. Without you, my life will lose a lot of fun. A total of more than a dozen messages. It can be seen from this information that Feng Yi's best friend is indeed worried about him. Feng Yi smiled and replied with a message. I'm fine. I took a nap in the afternoon and my phone was on silent. I didn't hear your call. It didn't take long. After seeing the message, the best friend called Feng Yi directly and invited Feng Yi to go out for a drink, and then went to an internet cafe to spend the night playing games. After exercising for an afternoon, Feng Yi was already exhausted, so he naturally declined politely. Then Feng Yi started to make dinner for himself, and then went to bed after eating. The following few days, Feng Yi keeps exercising every day. His attributes are also growing rapidly. Almost every day, it can increase a lot. Name, Feng Yi. Race, human. Physique, 46. Spirit, 17. Strength, 53. Agility, 41. Bloodline, Saitama physique awakened. This is Feng Yi's current attribute. His strength has exceeded 5 times that of normal people. Feng Yi feels, punch yourself down, can kill a cow. Saitama's physique is so fragrant. Boom, boom, boom. There was a knock on the door. Feng Yi, who had just finished taking a shower, was slightly startled, and then went to open the door. When he opened the door, standing outside was a courier boy. Hello, are you Feng Yi? Feng Yi said, I am. Here is your express delivery, please sign for it. Thanks. Sending the courier boy away, Feng Yi opened the courier and found that it was a high school diploma sent by the school and an admission notice from a third-rate university. Martial Saint Academy. This is the school that admitted Feng Yi. Despite the domineering name of this school, it is actually just a private, third-rate university. The name is still imitating, Martial God Academy. Looking at the admission notice from Wusheng Academy, Feng Yi fell into deep thought. For Feng Yi now, it seems that it doesn't matter whether I go to college or not. He has the strongest Saitama physique. As long as he is given 3 years, he will be invincible in the world, but Saitama still has some shortcomings. For example, can't fly. Although Saitama can jump directly from the moon back to the earth in one jump. But that's just the abnormal jumping ability formed by Saitama's powerful explosive power, not real flying. In addition, Saitama cannot breathe in outer space. What if Feng Yi is not careful in the future and is trapped in a similar vacuum environment? Feng Yi thinks, it is necessary for oneself. Add some shortcomings. It would be best to obtain the ability to fly from other forbidden areas. Or the ability to teleport, so Feng Yi decided that he had to go to this big place. Because most of the forbidden areas around the world are classified as confidential information by the state. There is no relevant content found on the internet at all. Banned. Access to this confidential information is only available at the university. If Feng Yi wants to know what is in these forbidden areas, he must go to university. In addition, some forbidden areas are guarded by the military and only college students are allowed to enter. Feng Yi knows that all the actions of the country are to monitor those powerful people under his nose. In this world, the tuition fees of ordinary private universities are very expensive. Like this Wusheng College, although it is a garbage pheasant university, the tuition and fees for a year are at least 50,000 to 60,000 yuan. Single quote. Thinking of this, Feng Yi frowned. The little savings left by this body's parents have been almost spent in the past few years. He now only has a few thousand yuan in his body. This little money can't even pay for one semester's tuition. The problem facing Fang Yi now is money. Moreover, there are only 2 months until the university starts. It is obviously not easy for a senior high school student to raise enough tuition within 2 months. Fang Yi is a time traveler. I have a few ways to make money in my mind. However, the methods he came up with were very time-consuming and labor-intensive, which would delay his daily exercise. Therefore, Fang Yi thought of the easiest way to raise money, which is to sell the house he lives in now. It's just a house. If it's sold, it's sold. When Fang Yi becomes invincible, what kind of house will he want? Thinking of this, Fang Yi immediately made a decision. The next day, at 8 o'clock in the morning, Fang Yi found a real estate agent and officially sold the house he lived in at a price lower than the market price. His only requirement is that the buyer must pay in full. Because for a loan, you need to wait for the bank's approval. The cycle is too long, and Fang Yi doesn't have that much time to wait. 2 weeks later, his house sold for $950,000. This money is enough for Fang Yi to finish college. A blink of an eye. 2 months passed. It's the annual freshman admissions season again. In front of the gate of Wusheng College, there are many students coming and going. When passing by the campus gate, students will look up at the plaque with the word, Marshall Saint, engraved on it. At this time, a young man carrying a travel bag was standing in front of the gate of Wusheng Academy, looking at the school plaque in a daze. This person is naturally Fang Yi. Compared with 2 months ago, Fang Yi looks a lot different now. The main change is reflected in his body appearance. His body is full of muscles, but he is not that big and well developed. Instead, he looks very well proportioned, and even looks a little thin when wearing clothes. His face became less immature and more delicate. Secondly, Fang Yi's hair volume seems not to be as much as before. Another change is Fang Yi's eyes, which are deep and lively, full of the confidence of a strong man. This kind of confidence is naturally brought about by Saitama's physique. After 2 months of training, Fang Yi's 4 basic attributes, except for the mental attributes, have almost exceeded 220 times that of normal people. In terms of strength, Fang Yi can barely be called a master. Didn't it mean that not many people came to Pheasant University? Why are there so many new students signing up? Fang Yi was a little strange when he saw the students coming and going at the school gate. Hello, are you here to report? A girl with an ordinary appearance but a very lively personality came over. Seeing Fang Yi nod, the girl immediately smiled and said, "Hello, Junior, I am a sophomore senior. If you don't understand anything, you can tell me. You can ask me." With the help of this senior, Fang Yi successfully completed the enrollment. Okay, the admission procedures are completed. Junior, let me take you to the dormitory. Thank you, senior. Not so polite. On the way to the dormitory, Fang Yi asked curiously, "Senior sister, our school has admitted a lot of new students this year." The senior sister explained. This is because, although many people have failed to match up with heroes, but they are not willing to be ordinary people in this life, so they come to our school and plan to try their luck in other forbidden areas. How? If I fail to bond with the hero, can I still go to other forbidden areas? Fang Yi asked in surprise. Of course, it is possible, but those who fail to match up do not have the talents of those heroes and are more dangerous in the forbidden area. Having said this, the senior sister smiled and asked, "Junior, did your previous high school teacher say that if you fail to get along, you will always be an ordinary person?" Fang Yi nodded. The senior said with a smile, "That's just to put pressure on you." Of course, there is nothing wrong in saying that, because ordinary people without heroic talents are indeed prone to failure in the forbidden area, and even lose their lives. After talking about it, this senior looked a little lonely. Obviously, she is also an unwilling ordinary person. She came to Wusheng Academy and wanted to change her destiny. Under the guidance of my senior sister, Fang Yi came to the dormitory and met several of his roommates. There are 4 people in each dormitory. Fang Yi's 3 roommates are 1 fat guy and 2 thin guys. Among the 4, only Fang Yi has the most normal body shape. Through mutual introduction, Fang Yi knew the names of the other 3. The fatter one is called Zhang Dao. The 2 thin guys are called Chen Heng and Wang Fei. Fang Yi, we are going to the internet cafe, can we go together? Wang Fei is a local and knows where there are internet cafes. Fang Yi was making the bed. Hearing this, he shook his head and said, I won't go there today. I plan to go shopping later and familiarize myself with the surrounding environment. After hearing this, Wang Fei and others did not force themselves and left the dormitory one after another. Fang Yi folded the quilt and immediately ran outside and started exercising. Ever since he obtained Saitama's physique, Fang Yi has never stopped exercising. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to have more than 203 attributes now. After leaving the dormitory, Fang Yi first prepared for a 10-kilometer-long run. In order not to alarm the people in the school, he left the school directly and started running along the road outside the school. More than 10 minutes later, Fang Yi came to the edge of a flea market. Boom! In the flea market, there was suddenly a deafening loud noise. Immediately afterwards, a terrifying air wave appeared, sweeping in all directions. On the street, countless items were blown away, and many pedestrians fell. Even Fang Yi was stunned. I almost fell. What happened? Fang Yi was shocked and quickly stepped aside, finding a safe distance before stopping. Soon, screams and screams came from the street, and there was chaos. Fang Yi followed the stairs next to him, climbed to a high ground, and looked towards the location of the explosion. What exploded was there is a shop near the street in the market. At this moment, the shop has long been changed beyond recognition. Around the shop, there are many people injured by the aftermath of the explosion, lying on the ground and wailing. However, what attracted Fang Yi's attention, it was not these injured people. Instead, there were several figures chasing each other on the roof of the shop. Fang Yi was surprised to find that the movement speed and neurological reactions of these people were far superior to ordinary people. For example, the one who was on the run at the front, the strong man jumped more than 10 meters away with a slight leap, and jumped from the ground to the roof of a house in the distance. He was like Superman. Of course, today's Fang Yi can also do this to this extent. Got it. You can even jump higher and farther. However, this was the first time Fang Yi saw someone showing off this extraordinary power unscrupulously on the street, and he couldn't help but be a little surprised. What a coincidence, the strong man escaped the direction was heading towards Fang Yi. When Fang Yi saw this, he immediately hid his figure. He did not like to draw a sword to help when the road was rough. Keeping a low profile and not meddling in other people's business is his current strategy. Sao Kuian, leave me the super soldier serum. Behind the strong man, someone shouted loudly and chased him wildly. When the strong man heard this, he laughed and didn't make any excuses. He just focused on escaping. Fang Yi, who was hiding in the shadows, heard super soldier serum. These words suddenly raised his eyebrows. If he remembered correctly, this should be something from the Marvel world. The American team relied on this thing to counterattack. Unexpectedly, this thing can actually flow into the real world, being fought over. Sao Kuian, you are dead. The person who spoke before shouted angrily again, chasing after the strong man. Fang Yi watched helplessly as these people ran past him, with no intention of taking action. If he didn't get Saitama before the Constitution, Fang Yi might also be interested in the super soldier serum. But now, the super soldier serum, how can it be as fragrant as Saitama's Constitution? At this time, Fang Yi saw the strong man running away and suddenly stopped. Only seeing in front of the strong man, a young man with a cold temperament appeared at some point and blocked the strong man's way. Seeing this young man, a very solemn look appeared on the strong man's face. The young man didn't waste any time and took action directly. What's shocking is that the young man's attack speed is extremely fast. As fast as lightning, I saw the young man's hands, like machine guns, attacking the strong man crazily. There are also strange light blue colors on his hands. Color, like water entangling it. Fang Yi was a little surprised when he saw this scene. Even he couldn't see the young man's attack movements clearly. This is of course because he is not strong enough now. And the strong man just parried. After a few moves, he was defeated. In an instant, he was hit by the young man multiple times in succession. Plop! The strong man fell heavily to the ground and spit out a mouthful of blood. He stared at the young man and gritted his teeth and said, Lu Shui Rock Fist. You are knowledgeable. The young man snorted coldly and said to the other people chasing him, take him away. After the strong man was taken away, soon, the police came to maintain order. Fang Yi found that the injured people did not yell or make a fuss, but silently obeyed the police's arrangements and accepted compensation and comfort. The surrounding pedestrians, after watching the excitement for a while, became accustomed to the strangeness and went about their own business, obviously. Everyone is used to things like this here. After all, it is not a peaceful world, but a world with extraordinary power. Crime by extraordinary people is a common phenomenon in this world. After understanding this, Fang Yi left here and continued training. He wants to become stronger. Become stronger. When he becomes invincible, there is no need to worry that one day he will encounter something like this and he will be innocently affected. The next day, morning, a large number of freshmen from Wusheng Academy gathered in the classroom and began to prepare for class. Due to the existence of extraordinary power, there is no military training in universities in this world. Since the training lasted for half a day, it was better to take a trip to the forbidden area. Fang Yi sat in the classroom, waiting for class. Yesterday, when he came back from exercise, he wanted to go to the library and read a book. It turned out that the books on the first floor of the library were all about other knowledge, and there was no content related to the forbidden area at all. The library requires permission starting from the second floor. Freshmen cannot go to the second floor to read. The extent to which forbidden content is blocked in this world is simply outrageous. Even spreading it privately is a violation of the law, and you must act responsibly. A moment later, a female counselor came to the podium and put down the roster in her hand. Students, please be quiet. I am your counselor at school, He Shaiman. In the next 4 years, I hope we can make progress together hand in hand. This counselor has good looks and a good temperament, which makes many boys in the classroom light up. Next, the roll call begins. The students who are called should stand up and introduce themselves. If they are the successful ones who have matched with the heroes, they should make it clear. He Shaiman opened the roll call list and called out the first name, Sun Lei. A boy with eyes who looked a bit thin stood up and introduced himself shyly. Hello everyone, my name is Sun Lei, from Waukeen City, an ordinary person. Ordinary people. In fact, they are people who failed to fit in with the hero. He Shaiman nodded, motioned for Sun Lei to sit down, and then called out the next person's name, Zhao Yuan. A girl with a capable temperament stood up. Everyone, my name is Zhao Yuan, from Ningzhou. I am a suitable candidate for the B-class hero, Hell Blowing Snow. Hearing this, many people in the classroom looked surprised. They couldn't figure out why Hell Fubuki's match would come to such a pheasant university. Although Hell Fubuki is a B-level hero, her abilities are actually very strong. The potential is also high. It stands to reason. Those who are compatible with Hell Fubuki can at least go to a major university. There is no need to come to a pheasant university. When everyone was puzzled, Zhao Yuan continued. Although I am a successful person, I did not inherit Hell Fubuki's superpower talent, but only inherited one of his hobbies, all the classmates. The match is successful, but you can't inherit the superpower talent. Including Fang Yi, all the students in the class did not expect that such a thing could happen. Fang Yi was even covered in cold sweat. Fortunately, he inherited Saitama's physique. If he inherited Saitama's salty personality and didn't have Saitama's physique, it would be useless. I really didn't expect that such a thing could happen. They finally got along, but they only inherited their hobbies. Isn't this too sad? No wonder you come to our school. In any case, it is much better than losers like us. At least after success, there is a property panel where you can check your properties in time. Many students were discussing quietly. From the surprised comments of these students, Fang Yi could judge that situations like Zhao Yuan's should be very rare. No one has seen it. Classmates, be quiet, Counselor He Shaiman shouted and said to Zhao Yuan, thank you, classmate Zhao Yuan, for your detailed introduction. Next, Fang Yi. Hearing his name, Fang Yi stood up and said calmly, hello everyone, my name is Fang Yi, from Baoan City. I am also a successful hero match, but the one I match is a C-level hero. The words fell. The whole room was in an uproar. Zhao Yuan's situation is just surprising. So, what Fang Yi just said was shocking. Someone actually chooses to be a C-level hero. This guy is so fierce. Fang Yi, right, I remember, he is a ruthless person. The girl named Zhao just now was completely unlucky and had no choice. But this brother directly chose a C-level hero to fit in. What's your mentality? Clothes. From now on, I will obey no one but this brother. The students in the class were talking a lot. Everyone looked at Fang Yi with strange eyes. It was like looking at a fool. It seemed that they couldn't figure out why someone would regard the useless C-class hero as a suitable target. Even the counselor He Shiman also looked at Fang Yi with surprise. Regarding the glances from around him, Fang Yi's face was calm and his heart was even calmer. These people thought he was a fool for choosing a C-level hero. And he felt that these people in front of him were the ones who the real fool. Let the invincible strongman Saitama not choose, and bet on other heroes with lower odds. At this moment, Fang Yi feels like everyone is drunk and I am alone. Ahem, He Shiman finally spoke again. Thank you, classmate Fang Yi, for the detailed introduction. Next, I will continue to roll call, Wang Fei. Wait for the roll call to end. Then the squad leader was chosen. The most beautiful girl in the class was elected to the position of monitor. The deputy squad leader is Zhao Yuan. Both monitors are girls. The morning class was spent like this. By the afternoon. This is the official course. The first class in the afternoon. A little old man walked into the classroom with a book. Who is the monitor? Give these books away. The monitor is a tall girl with a pure temperament. In terms of appearance, this girl deserves to be called a goddess. In the morning alone, she has received several love letters. After the book was distributed, many students opened it immediately. The same was true for Fang Yi. Later, he was surprised to find that every page in the book had an illustration. And the contents of the paintings were all terrifying zombies. Those weird zombies were presented to everyone like real photos. In front of us. It's ferocious, terrifying. Some timid girls couldn't help but exclaimed when they saw the illustrations in the book. The little old man was not surprised by this and said calmly, what you are seeing now is number 2 creatures in the Forbidden Land. This creature is officially called a zombie. They are actually transformed from people infected with the virus. From now on to the next month, you must carefully study the content of Forbidden Zone number 2 and receive various combat training. Because, in 1 month, each of you will go explore the Forbidden Area No. 2. These zombies will be your biggest enemies. Hearing this, Fang Yi was a little surprised. He knew that the Forbidden Area number 1 was One Punch Man. He didn't expect that there were zombies in the Forbidden Area No. 2. As far as he knew, in most forbidden areas, there was an option, it can be chosen by everyone. For example, in the Forbidden Area of One Punch Man, you can freely choose the hero that suits you. I just don't know, what are the options in the Forbidden Area No. 2. Fang Yi flipped through the book at random. He found that in addition to zombies, in the book there are also illustrations of some animals, such as crows, zombie dogs, etc. Especially when he saw the zombie dog, Fang Yi's eyes narrowed. He always felt that this zombie dog looked very familiar, as if he had seen it somewhere. Chapter 11. Dang. Fang Yi continued to flip through the textbook. When I saw a picture of a ferocious monster, his eyes suddenly opened wide. Stunned on the spot. In the picture, there is a red monster, which looks like the muscle tissue exposed after a person has been skinned. This monster is on all fours, its claws are unusually thick and sharp, and a long tongue drags out of its mouth, like a frog magnified countless times. With just one glance, Fang Yi recognized what this monster was, a licker. From Resident Evil, close double angle bracket. Could it be that Forbidden Land number 2 is the world of Resident Evil? Single quote. Fang Yi was a little surprised. At this time, the little old man on the podium knocked on the table and spoke. Don't rush to read the textbook, listen carefully to the lecture. My surname is Joe, and I will teach all your Forbidden Area classes from now on. Before teaching about the number 2 Forbidden Land, let me first tell you about the world background of the number 2 Forbidden Land. Forbidden Land number 2 was originally supposed to be a peaceful world, but then for some unknown reason, a virus crisis broke out. This virus infected most people around the world. The infected person will lose consciousness soon and turn into a terrifying walking zombie, leaving only the instinct to attack, which is the zombie just mentioned. After people become zombies, they will attack all living animals and devour fresh flesh and blood. Moreover, they have no fear, are not afraid of death, and are difficult to kill. No matter which part of their body you attack, you cannot knock them down. Their weakness is in their brains. But don't worry too much. The zombies in the number 2 forbidden area have no intelligence and move slowly. They are not dangerous. As long as you can overcome your inner fear when facing them, don't panic, don't lose judgment, and don't be surrounded by them, can defeat them easily. Therefore, the number 2 forbidden area is the one with the highest safety factor except the number 1 forbidden area, which is just right for newcomers like you. Remember, the country has numbered these forbidden areas. The further the number goes, the more dangerous the forbidden areas are. Of course, there are other dangerous creatures in the forbidden area. No. 2. If you encounter them, you must be especially careful. Everyone, turn the textbook to page 5. After everyone heard this, they turned the textbook to the 5th page. What appeared in everyone's sight was a crow. This crow looked very uncoordinated. Part of its body had rotted away, and its eyes were completely gray-white with no pupils. It's very unusual at first glance. The professor surnamed Joe continued. In forbidden area number 2, the real danger is not the zombies, but the infected animals. Many animals still maintain some movement instincts after being infected. For example, this infected crow can fly. Once you encounter a flock of crows, it is extremely dangerous. Once upon a time, when Forbidden Land number 2 first appeared, our country sent a special forces team to explore Forbidden Land number 2, and then they encountered a group of mutant crows. As a result, of the 32 people in this battle-hardened team, only one person managed to survive. Hearing this, many students turned pale with fright. The experienced special forces were wiped out when they encountered a group of crows, so ordinary people like them would definitely die if they encountered a group of crows when they went in. Jojo the professor ignored the students' fears and continued. There is also a mutated animal that is more dangerous than a group of crows. Everyone turned the textbook to page 7. On the 7th page, there is a picture of a mutated zombie dog. Just the hideous and terrifying appearance of the zombie dog scares many timid people. Professor Joe then talked about zombie dogs, lickers, and other mutated creatures. The students in the entire classroom were frightened. It's only the forbidden area number 2 and it's so dangerous. How about the other forbidden areas? There was only Fang Yi in the class, no fear, not even the slightest worry. Through Professor Joe's explanation, Fang Yi became more and more certain. Forbidden area no. 2. It's Resident Evil. It's still the movie version of the world of Resident Evil. At this time, one girl couldn't help raising her hand and asked, "Teacher, are there really so many dangerous creatures in the forbidden area?" No. 2. Professor Joe said calmly, "These information are compiled bit by the country's sacrifice of countless soldiers. Do you think it will be fake? However, this is obviously forbidden area no. 2. The girl hesitated and asked, "It's so dangerous. Is it really suitable for newcomers to explore?" How? Scared? Professor Joe smiled lightly. Forbidden areas are forbidden areas. If it's not dangerous, why is it called a forbidden area? Having said this, Professor Joe glanced at the whole audience and slowly said, "If you are afraid, it is still too late to drop out of school now." After hearing this, many students rolled their eyes. Everyone has paid their tuition fees, and now they are asking people to withdraw. Will the tuition fees be fully refunded? Of course it is impossible to drop out. People who have spent money to come here, or he is a person who is unwilling to be ordinary and wants to get a chance to change his destiny. The classroom fell into silence. No one spoke. Professor Joe continued. Actually, the most common thing in the forbidden area number 2 is zombies. As I just said, those dangerous creatures are not easy to encounter, unless you are really unlucky. As long as you don't make any big noise after entering the forbidden area number 2, you shouldn't be able to encounter these dangerous mutant creatures. Even if we do encounter it, we may not have no chance of victory. Okay, that's it for the introduction to Forbidden Land No. 2. Everyone, go back and read more of the books in your hands. It is best to memorize the contents above within this month. Don't wait until you enter the forbidden area number 2 and not know about the danger. In addition, everyone can only enter all forbidden areas once, so everyone must be prepared to gain more. Oh, by the way, One more thing. The books in your hands are prohibited and can only be used in the school. They are not allowed to be taken out of the school. Remember to keep them well. They will be recycled after a month. Don't lose them. In the next class, I will tell you about the strategy for Forbidden Land number 2. Now, get out of class is over. After Professor Joe finished speaking, he packed up his things and left. As soon as Professor Joe left, the classroom immediately became lively. Almost all the students were discussing what they had just heard. Forbidden Area number 2 is too dangerous, right? Did you just know? Do you know how many people die in forbidden areas every year? If I had known it was so dangerous, I really wouldn't have wanted to come. Didn't the teacher just say that? It's not too late to regret now. Forbidden Area number 2 is so dangerous. I wonder what dangers there are in Forbidden Area number 3. Well, now I finally understand why our high school teachers told us that if we fail to connect with heroes, we can only be ordinary people. Without the talent of a hero, it is too dangerous to go to these forbidden places. No matter what dangers there are, I will not back down. People like us, if we drop out of school and go back, we can only work in factories, or work from early to late every day to help others farm. In order to become stronger, in order not to be a labor force, labor and management also risked their lives. The next day, very early in the morning, countless freshmen were gathered on the school playground. A strong teacher is lecturing. Hello everyone, my name is Yan Tai, and I am your tactics teacher. I believe you all knew what was in Forbidden Land number 2 yesterday. In order for you to survive in Forbidden Land number 2, next, I will conduct physical combat training for you for a month. Now, everyone runs 10 laps around the playground. Hearing this, the students immediately complained, but they had to grit their teeth and start running. Everyone understood that the teacher trained them like this. It was actually for their own good. Otherwise, with their current bodies like weak chickens, they would enter the number 2 forbidden area and die. The rate is too high. Only Fang Yi can compare calmly. His daily exercise content includes 10 kilometers of long-distance running and 10 laps on the playground. It's not even 10 kilometers yet. After 10 laps, almost all the students are as tired as dogs. There are still many students who can't finish the race. With Fang Yi's current physical strength, running 10 laps is not strenuous at all. However, he didn't want to show off too much, so he pretended to be very tired and sat on the ground. Rest. After 10 laps, before half an hour of rest, the tactics teacher started other training. The whole morning was spent in training. In the afternoon, class started. It was still the same Professor Joe, for everyone explains the new content. After entering Forbidden Land number 2, 3 mission options will appear for everyone to choose from. Option 1. Kill those infected mutated creatures, including zombies. Option 2. Save the survivors. Option 3. Destroy the virus and save the entire world. Each person can only choose one of these 3 task options, and cannot select more than one. Although the third option has the highest rewards and may even reward unknown talents. However, I personally recommend that you do not choose the third mission. Because the third task is simply impossible to complete. Forbidden Land number 2 is a world where people feel like they are doomsday. Except for those mutated creatures and zombies, there are very few survivors. The entire world is paralyzed with communication and social order, and is extremely desolate. And everyone's mission time is only 1 month. It is simply impossible to save an apocalyptic world within 1 month. Once the mission fails, you will be permanently trapped in the Forbidden Area number 2 and will never be able to come back. The country once sent a large number of elites into Forbidden Land number 2 to complete the third mission, but they still failed and suffered heavy losses. Even a large number of the country's elites can't do it. Do you think you can do it? The third task has long been rated as an impossible task. Therefore, after entering the Forbidden Area number 2, don't be blindly confident, let your mind wander, and honestly choose Mission 1 or Mission 2. Hear this. Although Fang Yi's face was still calm, he was already shocked inside and his heartbeat was racing. He never expected that the choice for Forbidden Area number 2 would be this. Indeed, what Professor Joe just said makes sense. It is almost impossible for ordinary people to complete Task 3 within a month. Even the most powerful elites have little hope, because No one in this world knows the key information about Forbidden Zone number 2, which is the world of Resident Evil. The mission time was limited to 1 month, which eliminated the possibility of human C tactics. Once the mission fails, those who failed will be trapped in the Forbidden Area number 2, not knowing whether to live or die. It is impossible to pass on the information they investigated. This creates an endless loop. No matter how many people the country sends in, it will not help, but Fang Yi is different. Before traveling through time, he had watched all the movies in the Resident Evil series and was familiar with all the plots in them. Only he knows the real way to save the world of Resident Evil. That's the T-virus serum. In the original plot of the final chapter of Resident Evil, the heroine Alice released the T-virus serum at the last moment. The serum spread through the air, killing all infected mutated organisms in the world, causing the T-virus to disappear directly from the world. Alice also successfully saved the entire world. In the original plot, the T-virus serum has been hidden in Dr. Isaac's body. This guy is also the ultimate boss in the world of Resident Evil. It was he who released the T-virus and allowed the virus to spread around the world. He is the culprit behind the destruction of the world. Moreover, Dr. Isaacs is a mutant and very powerful. The heroine Alice, while fighting for the T-virus serum, was crushed by Dr. Isaacs with her strength, and almost capsized. Fortunately, he has the halo of the protagonist. In the end, the important task of saving the world was completed. Let's be an ordinary person. Even if you know the plot, I'm afraid it will be difficult to get the serum from Dr. Isaacs. Because Dr. Isaacs is not only strong, he also controls many mutant creatures, and he also has a very strong subordinate under his command. The name is Albert Wesker. Wesker is the boss in Resident Evil 4 inches and a mutant. He is very powerful and can easily kill ordinary people with his bare hands, so it is too difficult for ordinary people to successfully obtain the serum. However, Fang Yi is not an ordinary person. Name, Fang Yi. Race, human. Physique, 209. Spirit, 19. Strength, 211. Agility, 201. Bloodline, Saitama physique awakened. This is the attribute Fang Yi possesses after training for more than 2 months. In addition to the mental attributes, the other 3 attributes have reached 20 times that of normal people. Fang Yi feels that with his current strength, it shouldn't be a big problem to defeat Dr. Isaacs. There is still a month left for him to train hard and increase his strength again. That's right, Fang Yi wants to copy Alice's path to success and challenge Mission 3 to save the entire No. 2 Forbidden Land. Originally, there was no need for Fang Yi to take risks. As long as you give him 3 years, you can have invincible power. Mainly because of the Mission 3 reward that Professor Joe just mentioned, Fang Yi was moved. Rewarding an unknown talent. If luck were better, the talent awarded to Fang Yi would be flying talent. Wouldn't it directly supplement Fang Yi's shortcomings? Even if he is not gifted in flying, who would disdain that he has many talents? So, even if it takes a little risk, Fang Yi will give it a try. On the podium, Professor Joe is still continuing to explain. After eliminating Task 3, let's talk about Task 1 and Task 2. How to choose. Personal suggestion, it is best to choose Task 1. Because Mission 2 is to rescue survivors, and in a doomsday environment, there are very few survivors, and it is not easy to encounter them, let alone save them. Therefore, the most suitable one for you newbies is Task 1. Zombies can be found everywhere. As long as you can overcome the fear in your heart, just killing zombies will be enough for you to get a lot of rewards. At this time, Fang Yi had no intention of continuing to listen to the lecture. In terms of understanding of Forbidden Area number 2, no one can compare to him. The Forbidden Area number 1 is One Punch Man. The Forbidden Area number 2 is Resident Evil, so what about the forbidden areas behind? Could it be that this is all the world of works that I am familiar with? In this world, there is no content related to those other dimensional works, so everyone does not know about those forbidden areas, and they all have to explore on their own. But I am different, only I know this information. If my judgment is correct, it means that in the next Forbidden Land, I, who is familiar with the plot, will lead step by step and reach an unprecedented height, even a god. Single quote. Thinking of this, Fang Yi was excited. In the blink of an eye. A month passed. During this month, the teachers taught the new students a lot of knowledge that they had never been exposed to before. Of course, most of them are content in Forbidden Land No. 2. The freshmen also received a lot of physical training, and even learned how to use guns and target shooting with guns. Learning these things is all so that the freshmen can perform well in the number 2 Forbidden Area. 1 month down, the freshmen have changed a lot, and many of them are even completely transformed. Fang Yi's strength has also improved a lot in this month, and his strength attribute has officially exceeded the 300 mark. Saitama's physique is so incredible. As long as he keeps exercising, Fang Yi's 3 attributes will improve almost every day. Fang Yi tested it secretly. He now punched out with a punch that was powerful and destructive. He can punch through even a 1 centimeter thick steel plate. Except strength, his physique and agility attributes were also close to 300 points. Physique represents his vitality and ability to resist blows, that is, defense. The density of muscles on Fang Yi's body is now so strong that even ordinary pistol bullets may not be able to penetrate his muscles. It is truly invulnerable, except for large caliber guns. Agility represents Fang Yi's movement speed and nerve reflex speed. Fang Yi once tested his running speed in a deserted place. Under his full sprint, 100 meters distance, he only needs 3.62 seconds to finish the race. In terms of running speed, Fang Yi can now run faster than a cheetah. A month of hard training has passed. Next, these new students are about to begin their adventure. Start from Forbidden Area No. 2, 9 in the morning. Jingle bell, the school bell rings. With the bell ringing, Professor Joe walked into the classroom. Monitor, collect everyone's textbooks. As soon as I entered the classroom door, Professor Joe issued this order. After a month of classes, I have finished learning the contents of the previous textbook. There is a confidentiality agreement, and it is the right thing to take back the textbook. The squad leader heard this, then stood up and started collecting textbooks. Other students also cooperated and placed their textbooks neatly on the table, waiting for the monitor to collect them. Soon, all the textbooks were collected. Professor, there are a total of 51 books in the class. They have been collected and there are no shortages, the monitor said. Professor Joe nodded with satisfaction. When the monitor returned to his seat and sat down, Professor Joe began to teach. Regarding the content of Forbidden Land No. 2, I have taught you everything that needs to be taught. Tomorrow is the day when you go to Forbidden Land number 2, so today, I will give you a day off so that you can have a good rest and recharge your batteries to face the challenge. Tomorrow's challenge. When they heard about the holiday, the eyes of the students in the class suddenly lit up. To be honest, this month of hard training has long made these freshmen complain and find it difficult to persevere. If they didn't know that the teacher is training everyone, it is also for everyone. Okay, I'm afraid some students have escaped secretly. Now that they heard that they had a day off, everyone was naturally very happy. Professor Joe could see the expressions on the students' faces. Don't get too happy yet. Although it's a holiday, no one is allowed to leave school today, lest you play crazy outside and lose your energy tomorrow. I suggest you take a good rest. If you don't have the energy to deal with the danger tomorrow, you will be in harm's way. The pouring of this basin of cold water immediately extinguished the enthusiasm of most students. Everyone was still thinking about going out and relaxing. Just when everyone was depressed, Professor Joe suddenly changed his tone and said with a smile, "Wait a minute. If you come back safely from the Forbidden Area No. 2, I will pay for it personally and treat you to a feast of food, drinks and singing." The students were stunned. No one expected that Professor Joe, who is usually so stern, would actually ask everyone to come together. When everyone reacted, they immediately cheered excitedly. Although everyone knows that the survival rate of students is getting higher and higher. Gao, as a teacher, Professor Joe will also receive awards from the Ministry of Education, but this still does not prevent everyone from being happy. The next day, morning, buses departed from Wusheng Academy and headed towards the number 2 Forbidden Area. On each bus are freshmen who have been training for a month. Fang Yi was sitting on the bus, surrounded by his classmates. It can be seen that all the students are very uneasy. Excited. There are also many people who are uneasy. Including Fang Yi himself. everyone is looking forward to the upcoming adventure in the Forbidden Area. Students, remember what I said, in the Forbidden Area number 2, if you encounter danger, just run. You must not be injured, especially not scratched or bitten by mutant creatures. Once you are infected with the T-virus, even the gods cannot save you. If you are not sure about yourself, you can form a team with your classmates and help each other, but you must also control the number of people in the team. If there are too many people in your team, powerful mutant creatures will be attracted. After entering Forbidden Area number 2, go to the local police station as soon as possible. You can find weapons there. Try not to shoot randomly. The sound of gunfire will attract a large number of zombies. Tactics teacher Yan Tai is urging everyone over and over again. This time, their class was led by tactics teacher Yan Tai. In addition to leading the team, Yan Tai is also responsible for the safety of everyone along the way. It can be seen from this. This teacher Yan Tai, not simple. After several hours of trekking, at around 12 noon, the car finally arrived at its destination, Forbidden Land No. 2. The so-called Forbidden Area number 2 is actually a dimensional entrance. From the outside, it was completely shrouded in fog and couldn't be seen clearly at all. At the entrance, the country has established a military restricted area and is guarded by a large number of soldiers. It's not that the government wants to occupy Forbidden Land by force. But these forbidden areas are very dangerous, and mutated creatures sometimes come out. Just like Forbidden Area number 2, if a licker escapes and is left unattended and allowed to enter the human city and spread the T-virus, wouldn't it cause big trouble? This kind of thing really happened. There was a forbidden area before, and powerful creatures came out and caused great damage to human cities. With such lessons learned, the national government will certainly take precautions. Except for the forbidden areas in the wild that cannot be managed, almost all other forbidden areas close to human cities are guarded by troops. After the car passed the military security check, stopped in the parking lot of the base. When all the students got off the bus, Teacher Yan shouted, "Everyone, follow me, don't walk around." Looking at the soldiers with live ammunition around them, the students were all very obedient and did not dare to run around. They followed Teacher Yan and headed towards to the entrance of the forbidden area. On the way, Fang Yi saw many students from other schools, who also came to the forbidden area under the leadership of their teachers. Look at the right side. That's the uniform of Wushan Academy. They're here too. Behind Fang Yi, a student exclaimed. After hearing this, everyone looked in the direction the student was pointing and saw a group of students with proud temperament, walking towards the forbidden area with their heads held high. These students looked intently, as if no one else can enter their eyes. Wushan College is the #1 university in the country. As students of Wushan College, naturally all of them are proud. Some people can't stand the arrogance of the students of Wushan College, couldn't help but complain, "You're such a dick when you walk. What's so cool about it?" The classmate next to him said, "Don't tell me, they are indeed arrogant. Don't forget, the admission standards of Martial Arts Academy are that those who can enter Martial Arts Academy are all talented people with heroic talents, and are inherently better than ordinary students like us." Hearing what his companion said, the student who had just complained immediately shut up and had nothing to say. Teacher Yan Tai, who was leading the way, seemed to have heard the discussion of the two students, turned his head and encouraged, "Don't worry, everyone. It's unreasonable to belittle oneself, but as long as one works hard enough, ordinary people can counterattack. Currently, 3 of the top 10 top players in our country are from ordinary people." After hearing this, everyone silently remembered it in their hearts and encouraged themselves secretly. Only Fang Yi remained indifferent and watched the whole process. He came to school and participated in forbidden area exploration just to make up for the shortcomings of Saitama's physique. A moment later, Teacher Yan suddenly stopped. "When we arrived, everyone took out their belongings and gave them to me for safekeeping. You are not allowed to bring anything into the forbidden area, except for cloth." Everyone heard this and looked in front of Teacher Yan. There was only a glass door. Behind the glass door, there was a space-time passage similar to a black hole. What's behind the glass door? Why is it like a black hole? Isn't this the entrance? The students were talking quietly. Yes, this is the entrance to the forbidden area. Teacher Yan directly confirmed the students' guesses and said, you can go in directly. When 3 tasks appear, just select the task. Remember, you must pay attention to safety in the forbidden area. The teacher is waiting for you to come back. After hearing this, the students lined up one by one and walked towards the black hole-like entrance. Fang Yi saw with his own eyes that all the students who had entered the entrance disappeared, very quickly. It was Fang Yi's turn. He stood in front of the entrance, took a deep breath, and stepped out. Next moment, he came to a white space. Please select your task. A beep appears. Immediately afterwards, 3 mission options appeared in front of Fang Yi. Mission 1. Kill the mutated creatures infected with the T-virus. Mission difficulty: easy. Task time: 30 days. Tip: the more mutated creatures you kill, the higher the mission rating you get. The higher the task evaluation, the greater the reward. Mission 2. Rescue survivors. Mission difficulty: hard. Task time: 30 days. Tip: the more survivors you save, the higher your mission rating will be. Mission 3. Destroy the T-virus and save the world. Mission difficulty: ultimate. Task time: 30 days. Tip: the less time it takes you to complete the task, the higher the task evaluation you will get, and after completing the task, you will get the ultimate reward, a random talent. Warning: if you do not complete the task within 30 days, you will be trapped in the current world forever. Looking at the 3 mission options, Fang Yi wanted to complain. There are no warning reminders for the first 2 tasks. There is obviously no penalty for failure. It's really suitable for newcomers. No wonder the country has classified this forbidden area as the number 2 forbidden area. But the 3rd task is different. Failure equals disgrace. Although he won't die, being trapped in a doomsday world doesn't make much sense. Fang Yi was suddenly curious. These mysterious forbidden places. How did it appear on this planet? What is the purpose of their appearance? Is it really just to make humans stronger? I'm afraid no one can give him the answer to Fang Yi's doubts. He shook his head, gave up these messy thoughts, and said in a deep voice, I am now on task 3. A prompt sounded. Successful selection. Then, a white light flashed, making Fang Yi feel dizzy. When Fang Yi regained his sight again, he found that he was standing on a deserted street. This was a dilapidated city. Looking from a distance, the high-rise buildings are incomplete, as if a disaster has occurred. The ground on the street is full of abandoned vehicles, as well as all kinds of garbage and dust. It's a huge city, but there's not a single human being in sight. From Fang Yi's perspective, we can see that the entire city is yellowish-brown, and the surface seems to be stained with a layer of dust. It has been dilapidated for a long time, and no trace of the prosperity of the past can be seen. Desolate. Broken. It is the most authentic portrayal of this city. The entrance to Forbidden Area No. 2. Seeing all the students entering the Forbidden Area, the teachers who led the group breathed a sigh of relief and gathered together to talk and laugh. Yan Tai wanted to find a deserted corner and take a rest, but he was stopped by someone. Lao Yan, long time no see. A gentle-looking teacher wearing gold-rimmed glasses walked towards Yan Tai. This teacher seemed to be very familiar with Yan Tai. He walked over and patted Yan Tai's shoulder affectionately, showing a gentle smile. Smile. I didn't expect that Martial Saint Academy would send you to lead the team this time. But Yan Tai frowned instinctively when he looked at this teacher who was similar to him. There was even a trace of disgust and hatred in his eyes. Wang Liang. Yan Tai calmly distanced himself and asked calmly, when did we become so familiar? Hearing this, the teacher named Wang Liang was not annoyed and said with a smile, we are all old classmates. Isn't it too hurtful to say this? Old classmate. Yan Tai's face showed a mocking look. You are a senior teacher at Wushan College, and I am just an ordinary teacher at a third-rate university. I dare not compete with you. Lao Yan, it seems you still remember what happened back then. Wang Liang sighed and said, that matter was just a misunderstanding. Yan Tai sneered and interrupted. Sorry, I don't have time to catch up with you. Do you have anything to do with me? Nothing else. Wang Liang looked at Yan Tai with a smile and continued, I just want to see how you are doing. It seems that you are doing well now, so that I can go back to work with Qingqing. When he heard the word, Qingqing, although Yan Tai's face was expressionless, his heart suddenly hurt. That was the woman who should have been him. Yan Tai knew that Wang Liang did it on purpose. Looking at Wang Liang's hypocritical smile, he wished he could punch this guy who was full of bad water to death. By the way, one more thing. Wang Liang suddenly said again. I remember that every year when freshmen break into Forbidden Area number 2, there is an unwritten rule among us teachers, compare whose student gets the higher task evaluation. This year should not be an exception, right? This guy deliberately spoke loudly, attracting the attention of all the teachers around him. In the Forbidden Area No. 2. Looking at the desolate and dilapidated city around him, Fang Yi was thoughtful. In the first and second Resident Evil films, the T-virus was only circulating in Raccoon City, and the rest of the world was safe. Only from the third film onwards, the T-virus infected the whole world, driven by the Umbrella Company behind the scenes. Such a desolate city. According to the development of the original plot, the timeline is at least after the third part of Resident Evil. Single quote. Thinking of this, Fang Yi started to take action. He came to a nearby supermarket and was looking for something. Soon. Conveniently, he found his target, a map. On the map, Fang Yi found the location of Raccoon City. That's right, he is going to Raccoon City, although in the second plot of Resident Evil, Raccoon City has been reduced to rubble by a nuclear bomb. But Fang Yi knows the plot well. He knew that the real headquarters of the Umbrella Company was actually deep underground in Raccoon City, at the bottom of the hive. A nuclear bomb explosion cannot reach deep underground at all. The big boss, Dr. Isaacs, is right there. The antidote that can eliminate the global T-virus is also there. This is the benefit of knowing the plot. Like the heroine Alice in Resident Evil, she spent several years wandering on the ground, wasting a lot of energy, and never found the antidote to the T-virus. Finally, by chance, she discovered the secret of the Raccoon City hive. And Fang Yi knew the plot, so he didn't need a few search clues. After determining the target location, Fang Yi quickly made a battle plan. He planned to go directly to Raccoon City, destroy the key personnel of the Umbrella Company in the hive, release the serum, and complete the mission cleanly. Although the plan is a bit reckless, but it may not be without miraculous effects. And Fang Yi remembered the mission reminder that the shorter the time it took him to complete the mission, the higher the mission evaluation he would get. That's why he decided to use this plan. Can save a lot of time. After determining the target location. Next, Fang Yi needs to find a car. Because Raccoon City is quite far away from where Fang Yi is now, about 100 kilometers away. If you have a car, you can get there in an hour or two, only. In a city that has been run down for a long time, it is almost impossible to find a car that can still start. If a car is not started for a long time, the power in the storage battery will be completely lost and it will not be able to ignite. Fang Yi tried several cars on the street, but they all failed to start, so he gave up the plan of driving. And his actions had already attracted the attention of the mutated creatures. A few zombies. He was staggering towards Fang Yi. They were rotten all over, and they made low growling sounds from their mouths. They looked quite disgusting and terrifying. But Fang Yi didn't show any fear at all. Saitama's physique. While making Fang Yi strong, it also makes Fang Yi slowly lose his fear. What's more, the strong strength is enough to give Fang Yi a strong self-confidence. Looking at these zombies, Fang Yi picked up a baseball bat from the ground. Killing him directly with his hands would easily dirty his hands. Finally, the zombies are approaching. Just when Fang Yi raised his baseball bat and was about to hit the heads of these slow zombies, a change occurred. Whoosh! A sharp arrow suddenly flew out from the shop next to it and hit a zombie directly on the head. The zombie that was shot fell down immediately. Fang Yi was stunned and immediately looked towards the shop next to him. Only I saw a beautiful girl, holding a compound bow made with modern technology, bending the bow and setting an arrow, aiming at another zombie. The clothes on her body were the same as those on Fang Yi. They were the uniforms of Wusheng Academy. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. This girl shot several arrows in a row, hitting the zombies' foreheads accurately every time. It was a true shot. In just a few breaths, all 4 zombies were killed by her. They are all classmates, so of course Fang Yi knows this girl. It was the monitor of their class. She was also rated as the most beautiful girl in the class by the boys, the class beauty. Su Zaichou. What surprised Fang Yi was that he didn't expect that Su Zaichou, who looked weak, could actually master such superb archery skills. This kind of archery requires at least several years of hard training before even a talented person can master it. It seems that everyone has underestimated this monitor. After killing the zombies, Su Zaichou walked towards Fang Yi. Fang Yi, what were you doing just now? Do you know that is dangerous? As soon as it came up, there was a stern reprimand. Then he said, it seems that you are not prepared to deal with the crisis at all. Next, you should follow me and help me. Fang Yi was confused. Now, Fang Yi was really confused by this monitor, certainly. He could tell that Su Zaichou had good intentions. It's just that he couldn't accept this kind intention. Because he has his own tasks and plans, he definitely can't stay with the beauty. Monitor, where did you get this compound bow? It's quite powerful. Fang Yi replied that it was not what he asked. Su Zaichou frowned and answered, there is a shooting club next to it. I found it inside. Oh, are there any knives inside? There are several. Fang Yi immediately said, can you take me to look for it? I need a knife. To deal with zombies, it's better to have a knife than to use bare hands. At least you won't get your hands dirty. And with Fang Yi's current attributes, it's more suitable to use a knife. You want to use a knife? Su Zaichou frowned and persuaded. If you use a knife, you have to fight zombies at close range. There is a possibility of injury. If you are surrounded, it will be very dangerous. It is better to attack from a distance. I know what you said makes sense. Fang Yi spread his hands and said, but I don't know how to use a bow. You can't let me use a gun, can you? Believe it or not, as long as the gunshot sounds, it can attract all the mutant creatures around. Su Zaichou thought for a moment and said, that's true. Okay, I'll take you there. Under the leadership of Su Zaichou, the two came to the nearby shooting club. The store was naturally empty, many rooms were very messy, and there were dried blood stains on the ground. It is estimated that when the virus broke out, what happened in the store huge chaos. It's here. Su Zaichou pointed to a wall. There were several long knives hanging on the wall, probably used by the previous owner for collection. Fang Yi didn't know what kind of knives these were, so he picked a long knife that was more convenient and brought it with him. He picked up a short knife as a spare. After finishing the selection, Fang Yi said casually, Squad leader, thank you very much. We will see you later. Su Zaichou was stunned. What do you mean? Do you want to go it alone? Seeing Fang Yi nodding, Su Zaichou immediately frowned. Fang Yi, don't be brave and follow me. The final mission evaluation may not be very high, but at least it will be safer. We are classmates, and I won't harm you. This girl is so warm-hearted. What a pity. The task Fang Yi chose was not the simplest of killing zombies at all. It was the most difficult of saving the world. He could only refuse Su Zaichou's kindness. Just when Fang Yi was about to speak, suddenly, there was movement outside the store. Immediately afterwards, a red monster crawled into the store from the wall. The monster was covered in thick muscle tissue, without skin, and looked bloody. It was equipped with ferocious claws and sharp points. Teeth, very scary. It's the liquor. Seeing the liquor's appearance, Su Zaichou's pretty face instantly turned pale, and a pair of beautiful big eyes showed a look of fear and despair. He had been on the bed for a month class. It is impossible for Su Zaichou not to know liquors. According to Professor Zhou, liquors are one of the most dangerous creatures in the number 2 forbidden area. They can easily kill an elite team of humans. They are simply invincible to ordinary people. When it comes to the liquors, Professor Zhou's advice to everyone is, run as hard as you can, and leave the rest to fate. At this time, the liquors seemed to have discovered the two of them, and were leaning against the wall, slowly crawling towards them. Su Zaichou was so frightened that she couldn't move. Although her archery skills were very powerful, she knew that facing an advanced hunter like the liquor, she would probably die before she even made a move. Notice. Suddenly, Fang Yi's deep and calm voice came to Su Zaichou's ears, I will let you go later, and you will run away without looking back. Su Zaichou was stunned and looked at Fang Yi in surprise. Fang Yi, you. Don't interrupt, remember what I said. Fang Yi warned again, staring at the liquor. He really wanted to try it. Now, how much time would it take for him to kill this liquor? Come to think of it. Since Fang Yi got it after Saitama's physique, he has been getting stronger, but he has not really fought in actual combat yet. Now is a good opportunity to test the results of his training during this period. Of course, Fang Yi has no intention of being afraid of liquors. If he continues, even a liquor couldn't handle it, and he couldn't be so arrogant to take on the most difficult task. The reason why Su Zaichou was allowed to run was because Fang Yi didn't want his strength to be exposed in front of Su Zaichou. Just in time, he could take advantage of this opportunity to get rid of this warm-hearted squad leader and save a lot of explanation. Kill two birds with one stone. This is Fang Yi's idea. However, Su Zaichou doesn't think so. After all, women's minds are more delicate. And they also like to think wildly. I heard that Fang Yi, if so. This girl subconsciously thought that Fang Yi was going to use his own life to fight for her a way out. Fang Yi. Su Zaichou looked at Fang Yi blankly, with a bit of disbelief in his beautiful eyes. She couldn't have imagined it. We had only met for less than 10 minutes. The man in front of her was actually willing to use his own life in exchange for a glimmer of life for her. Could it be that he has always liked me and had a crush on me in school? Single quote. Su Zaichou couldn't help but think wildly. The enemy is at hand. This girl can still have such random thoughts. I have to say, women are really magical creatures. Right now, the liquor on the opposite side seemed to have completely lost his patience and rushed towards the two of them. Call. The speed of the liquor was extremely fast, like a red phantom. Su Zaichou just felt a flash of red light in front of her eyes, and the liquor rushed in front of her, with no time to react. Fortunately, there was another person beside her. A man who hides his secrets. The liquor is indeed very fast, but in Fang Yi's eyes, it's nothing more than that. Now Fang Yi's agility attribute is close to 300. Both his speed and neurological reaction have reached it's so terrifying. You can even dodge the trajectory of the bullet. The liquor's pounce action even seems a bit slow in Fang Yi's eyes. As long as Fang Yi wants to, he has at least several ways. The last strike comes first, counter-killing the liquors. But Fang Yi didn't do this. Fang Yi hugged the dazed Su Zaichou, then quickly rushed to the door, and then pushed Su Zaichou out. Walk! Fang Yi shouted loudly, kicked the door shut, and locked him and liquor in the store. Until now, Su Zaichou, who was outside the door, finally came back to his senses. Hearing the sound of fighting in the room, Su Zaichou gritted her teeth and chose to turn around and leave. She knew that this was the opportunity Fang Yi gave her life to create for her to escape. If she doesn't cherish it, it will be a blasphemy to the other party's life. Su Zaichou left quickly without looking back, but glistening tears fell from her beautiful eyes. She didn't expect that. There is actually a man who is willing to give his life for her. No hesitation. No woman can remain indifferent to this, true love. Fang Yi's no hesitation figure deeply took root in Su Zaichou's heart. In the club store, seeing Su Zaichou running away, Fang Yi immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Finally coaxed this silly fool away, then. Fang Yi turned his head and looked at the liquor calmly. Just now, in order to deceive Su Zaichou and create the sound of fighting, he had been avoiding the liquor and did not fight back at all. If he had fought back, the liquor would have been hacked to death by him. I just teased you, now you can hit the road, Fang Yi said as he pulled out his long knife. Roar! The liquor roared and rushed towards Fang Yi. This time, Fang Yi did not hide anymore, but faced the liquor and waved the long knife in his hand. Poof! The light of the knife flashed. Fang Yi stood firmly. Body. Behind him, the liquor was split open by his head and fell heavily to the ground. He couldn't die anymore. Instant kill. With Fang Yi's current strength, if he couldn't kill even one liquor, that's abnormal. After killing the liquor, Fang Yi didn't stay there and left here quickly. In order to avoid meeting that silly girl Su Zaichou again, he walked in the opposite direction. If Su Zaichou knew about it, Fang Yi, how would I feel if I avoided her like this? Half an hour later, Fang Yi had left the previous city and came to the wilderness. Along the way, he encountered many blind zombies, all of which were easily dealt with by Fang Yi. Fang Yi finally had a preliminary understanding of his own strength. At least in Forbidden Land number 2, as long as he doesn't seek death, there should be nothing that can kill him. Picking up the map, Fang Yi looked at the location and walked along Raccoon City. Since he couldn't find a car, he had to rely on his feet. We walked for about an hour. In the distance, 2 buses suddenly drove over. Fang Yi was stunned, and immediately hid behind the rocks on the roadside before the other party noticed him. As the buses approached, Fang Yi could clearly see that both buses had been extensively modified. The body is wrapped with many iron sheets to increase its thickness, and the glass on all windows has been replaced with wire mesh, which is firmly nailed to it. At the front of the car, there are many steel teeth installed, with blood stains on them. Even the tires are wrapped. The entire bus was completely changed beyond recognition. In modern society, if you dare to hit the road, you will be detained by the traffic police every minute. However, this is in a post-apocalyptic world, so naturally you can change it however you want. Modifying the car like this must be for the purpose of escaping. Once you encounter a zombie wave, a car like this can carve a bloody path, and the chance of escape is much higher. Fang Yi has a keen eye. Through the car window, he can see it. The people sitting in the bus were all survivors who had fled. After thinking for a moment, Fang Yi immediately showed up, stood in the middle of the road, and stopped the bus. He was going to let these people send him to Raccoon City. Crunch. The sound of brakes sounded. Both buses stopped. Then the door opened. A strong white man got out. This guy was tall and had a military temperament. The most important thing was that he had an M416 assault rifle. Seeing this strong white man, Fang Yi's eyes narrowed. He felt that this guy looked familiar. Then, another person got off the bus. This time, it was a blonde woman. The woman has exquisite facial features and good looks, but she has a clean and sharp temperament. When he saw this woman at the first sight, Fang Yi immediately recognized who she was. She was the heroine of the Resident Evil series. Alice. See Alice. Fang Yi was a little surprised in his heart. He didn't expect that he would meet Alice here. What a coincidence, since Alice is in this convoy. Then Fang Yi could naturally remember the identity of the familiar strong white man next to Alice. It should be the mercenary who started appearing in Resident Evil 2 Inches, Carlos. Now that Carlos is alive and here, Fang Yi can be sure. The current timeline of Forbidden Area 2 is Resident Evil 3 Inches Close Double Angle Bracket. Hey, dude, who are you? Why are you stopping us? Carlos stood opposite Fang Yi and asked. Perhaps Fang Yi was alone, so Carlos relaxed his vigilance and didn't even open the safety bolt of the rifle in his hand. The other party spoke English. The strange thing is that Fang Yi actually he can understand and know how to answer, and there seems to be no language communication barrier. Fang Yi is sure that he has never learned English. Obviously, the thing that allows him to understand English is the number 2 Forbidden Land itself. It should be from where he entered. From this moment on in the Forbidden Area, language automatically entered his memory. I have to say, this is really amazing. I mean no harm, I need your help, Fang Yi said. After hearing this, Carlos asked lazily, can you tell me first, what trouble did you encounter? If it's just something small, we'll be happy to help. The implication is that if it's a big deal, forget it. Fang Yi said, I want to go to Raccoon City. I wonder if you would like to give me a ride. When they heard about Raccoon City, Carlos and Alice's expressions changed. They didn't have any good memories in Raccoon City. They escaped from Raccoon City a year ago. Carlos was originally hired army, employed by the Umbrella Company, was ordered to go to Raccoon City to rescue survivors. However, he encountered a biological crisis in Raccoon City, lost many comrades, and almost died himself. Not to mention Alice, her sweetheart died in Raccoon City. In their own hands. Raccoon City. It is definitely a sad place for them, a place they don't want to think about. What are you doing in Raccoon City? It was Alice who asked this time. Alice's eyes were staring at Fang Yi closely, as if she wanted to see Fang Yi's true intentions. Fang Yi smiled slightly in his heart, but on the surface, he was pretending put on a righteous and awe-inspiring look. I want to go to the headquarters of the Umbrella Corporation, find the T-virus serum, and save this world. When Alice heard this, she shook her head in disappointment and said, you don't have to go to Raccoon City, there is nothing there. She was referring to the nuclear bombing. Indeed. Raccoon City was completely reduced to ruins by the nuclear bomb. No, according to the information I got, the real headquarters of the Umbrella Company is at the bottom of the hive in Raccoon City. The main members of the company, as well as the T-virus serum, are all there. Fang Yi's tone was very sure. He told Alice the news, of course, with a purpose. From the moment he saw Alice, Fang Yi had the idea of using Alice in his heart, and wanted to take Alice as well. Deceived into the hive in Raccoon City and helped him complete his mission. After all, in the world of Resident Evil, Alice is the child of luck. The absolute protagonist, has a powerful protagonist aura. There are various mechanisms in the hive, which are very important to the current situation. For Fang Yi, there is still a certain danger. If Alice is brought along and Alice can be used as cannon fodder to help Fang Yi explore the way, then the success rate of Fang Yi's plan will be increased by at least 30%. Alice, as the destiny child in the world of Resident Evil, absolute protagonist, she has always made it her mission to save the world. Fang Yi believes that as long as he reveals information about the serum, he will be able to attract Alice, as expected. After Fang Yi finished speaking, Alice was immediately moved. Where did you get this information? Alice asked seriously. Even Carlos, the mercenary beside her, became serious at this moment. Fang Yi smiled slightly and said, I have been tracking down the umbrella company, and I finally destroyed one of their branches before, to get this information. Alice thought for a while and asked, is the news reliable? Raccoon City is not far from here, and it doesn't take long to go there. You'll know if it's true or not, just go and take a look. Fang Yi said. After hearing this, Alice felt it made sense. She glanced at Carlos next to her and asked in a low voice, Carlos, what do you think? Carlos shrugged and said, just make your decision, I will listen to you. Alice thought for a while, looked at Fang Yi with burning eyes, and said seriously, okay, we will accompany you. I hope everything you said is true. Fang Yi smiled faintly after hearing this. He was not surprised at all by this result. It would be really strange if Alice was still indifferent after hearing the news about the serum. After the two parties reached an agreement, the convoy immediately turned around and set off. Fang Yi also successfully got on the bus and sat in the same row as Carlos. Alice is sitting behind him. Where we are now, close to California. Raccoon City is about 140 kilometers away from us and can be reached in 2 hours. Man, you can get some sleep first, Carlos said. Of course Fang Yi would not sleep in someone else's car. This would be tantamount to entrusting his life and death to others. Thank you, but I'm not sleepy just yet. Carlos didn't care and said. So, can you tell me your origin? You can ask this question. It is obvious that Carlos does not trust Fang Yi. This is normal. After all, it is the first time for both parties to meet. Fang Yi smiled slightly and told the lie he had prepared long ago. I am an Oriental, and I originally lived a happy life. The emergence of the T-virus turned everyone into monsters, and only a few people survived. Later, I began to trace the source of these viruses. He told half-truths and half-lies, taking advantage of his familiarity with the plot to reveal a lot of information, which shocked everyone in the car. Even Carlos and Alice couldn't tell whether what Fang Yi said was true or false. 2 hours passed quickly. The bus finally stopped. The driver was a black driver. At this time, he turned back and said, we have already reached Raccoon City, do we still want to go forward? Alice stood up, glanced out the window, and said, no, just stay here and wait for me to come back. Then, she looked at Fang Yi and said firmly, I'll go with you, I know where the hive is. Regarding Alice's volunteering, Fang Yi couldn't ask for it. Even though he nodded in agreement. When Carlos saw this, he was worried that Alice would leave alone with Fang Yi. He also stood up and said, count me in. Fang Yi knew it was all right. Cannon fodder. Of course, the more the better. Then, the three of them set off together and got off the bus. Is this Raccoon City? Fang Yi, who had just gotten off the bus, looked at the city in front of him and was a little surprised. No, calling a city is no longer appropriate. It is simply a ruin. In the center of the city, there is a huge pit with a diameter of more than a kilometer, surrounded by all the buildings were razed to the ground. It was extremely desolate. You don't need to guess to know that the huge crater was created by a nuclear bomb. If there weren't several houses around, no one would be able to tell that this place was once prosperous, metropolis. It's here. Alice's tone was a bit complicated. Carlos said. Although more than a year has passed, there is still a lot of harmful radiation here. We try not to stay here. After hearing this, Alice glanced at a certain location, then pointed to a damaged building on the edge and said, "The basement of that building is the entrance to the hive." The three of them walked quickly towards the entrance of the hive together. At the same time, inside the hive, Albert Wesker, standing in front of the surveillance computer. In the surveillance video, it was Fang Yi and Alice. As the home of the umbrella company, the hive's security level is naturally very high. When Alice, Fang Yi and others approached the hive, they were photographed by hidden surveillance. Looking at the cautious three people, Wesker looked calm and pressed a red button next to him. Suddenly, deep in the hive, many iron cages were opened, and unknown monsters emerged from them. Alice has been to the beehive and escaped from here. Alice is relatively familiar with the hive. With Alice leading the way, the three of them entered the hive smoothly. The surrounding environment instantly became dark. Fang Yi became cautious. Having watched the plot, he knew that the hive was dangerous. Although he is very strong, if you are not careful, you may capsize in the gutter. Be careful, if the headquarters of the umbrella company is really here, it will be very dangerous here. Fang Yi reminded aloud. Although these two are the cannon fodder he deceived. However, if possible, Fang Yi still hopes that Alice will not die here. Because Alice is the protagonist. If she dies, say there may be some unexpected troubles. After hearing Fang Yi's reminder, Alice and Carlos nodded seriously. Neither of them are reckless people. Of course they know that Fang Yi is right. Next, the three of them start exploring carefully, looking for the way to the bottom of the hive. At the same time, the other side, several students from Wusheng Academy gathered together and were surrounded by a group of zombies. "I'm out of bullets. I don't have any bullets here either. It's over, we're going to die here. I don't want to die. I haven't found a boyfriend yet, woo woo." The surrounding zombies were attracted by the sound of gunfire and gathered in more and more numbers. But these students have run out of ammunition and food, and are at the end of their rope. If nothing else happens, they will be doomed this time. Just when these students were desperate, suddenly, there was a swish sound. A sharp arrow flew from a distance and hit a zombie directly on the head. Then, more arrows were shot one after another, killing each zombie. None of them missed. The example is true. Several students were shocked. "What are you still doing? Come here quickly." The clear shouts rang out, and these students finally came to their senses. Only then did they realize that the people who came to rescue had helped them clear a way to escape. There was hope for escape, and these students, no longer caring about anything else, scrambled to escape. After a while, these students who escaped were hiding in a room. And they finally saw clearly who saved them. Monitor. Unexpectedly, it was the squad leader who saved us. "That's great. Monitor, your archery skills are so good." Seeing Su Zaicho, the students seemed very excited. They were shocked by Su Zaicho's archery skills and looked at Su Zaicho with admiration. Especially those boys, who looked at Su Zaicho with eyes that were not only admiring but also strange. Su Zaicho looked at this. Several classmates looked very calm. "As long as you're okay, the days ahead are still long, so be careful." Throwing these words, Su Zaicho turned around and left. If it were before, Su Zaicho would definitely choose to be with these classmates, complete tasks together, and help each other. However, after experiencing Fang Yi's sacrifice, Su Zaicho's heart has become a lot colder. She doesn't want to have too many interactions with other people. Because, in her mind, there is always a figure who has no hesitation and can't go away. In the hive, the exploration of the three of them is going smoothly so far. Soon, the three of them arrived at the core of the hive. A transparent passage blocked the three people. Just as Fang Yi was about to walk in, Alice seemed to remember something and quickly reminded, "Be careful, Fang, this passage is very dangerous." Oh, Fang Yi stopped and looked at the passage. After a moment, he finally remembered what this passage was. The laser got stuck in the passage. In Resident Evil 1, this passage took away many lives. "I'll go over first and turn off the switch," Alice said. Fang Yi was calm on the surface, but he was laughing secretly in his heart. Alice is such a good cannon fodder. Since Alice took the initiative to ask for help, of course Fang Yi would not refuse. Carlos wanted to say something, but when the words came to his lips, still didn't say anything. He could only remind, be careful. Alice nodded and walked into the laser channel. When Alice took a few steps forward, the originally calm channel immediately reacted. At the other end of the laser channel, a blazing white laser cutting line formed quickly. It seemed as long as someone walks in, the defense mechanism of the laser channel will be triggered. The white laser cutting line quickly approaches Alice, and in the blink of an eye, it is in front of Alice. Look at the position. If Alice does not hide, it will be just right. It was cut from Alice's neck. Of course Alice would not stand still. Next, she showed very flexible skills and avoided laser cutting traps one after another. There were several laser cutting lines among them. Alice he narrowly escaped even the slightest trace of it. If he missed it by just a hair, his head would be missing. Fang Yi was shocked to see it, although he could do it faster and better than Alice. However, it has to be said that Alice's judgment, her strength and body flexibility are very powerful, far beyond ordinary people. After a while, Alice finally passed through the laser channel and turned off the switch of the laser channel. It's safe, come over. After Fang Yi heard this, he and Carlos walked through the laser tunnel. When they came to Alice, they saw Alice frowning and her face serious. Alice, what's wrong? Carlos asked. Alice said, this place should be abandoned, but the power system is still running. This is not normal. Carlos understood what Alice meant. You mean, there are people here keeping things running? Alice nodded and looked at Fang Yi. It seems that the information you got must be true. Fang Yi pretended to analyze. I'm afraid we will be in danger next. The top management of the umbrella company may have discovered us, and they will not let us get close easily. As soon as he finished speaking, a monster's roar came from the depths. Roar, roar, a terrifying roar came from deep in the hive. When Alice and Carlos heard the sound, their expressions suddenly changed. Fang Yi spread his hands and said, it seems that I was right. Alice gritted her teeth and looked firm. No matter what conspiracy the umbrella company has, I will destroy it. Fang Yi smiled and said, I think the same as you. Although Carlos was a little scared, he couldn't say anything. The three of them continued to walk forward. Through the long passage, they appeared in a spacious room. The room was dark, making it difficult to see around. Intuition. Tell Alice that there seems to be something terrible hidden in the corner of this room. Be careful, everyone, I feel like there is danger here. Alice warned. Carlos heard the words and immediately turned on the flashlight and illuminated the surroundings. When the light of the flashlight illuminated a certain corner, suddenly, a red figure flashed past. Roar, accompanied by a roar. From the darkness, a ferocious-looking monster rushed out. The monster was on all fours, with a long tail trailing from the end of its spine, and its body was covered in red flesh, like a huge skinned lizard. It looks very much like a licker. But it looks even bigger and more terrifying than the licker. Seeing this monster, Alice's pretty face changed. Be careful, it's a mutant licker. As soon as she finished speaking, she took out her gun and shot. Carlos also opened fire. Boom, boom, boom. For a moment, the whole room was filled with gunshots. Both of them were very accurate with their marksmanship. The mutant licker was suppressed by bullets and was soon covered in wounds. At this moment, another mutant licker rushed out of the darkness next to her and rushed directly towards Alice. Alice's pretty face suddenly changed. She didn't expect that there was a second mutant licker in the room. At this moment, she had no time to escape. At the critical moment, Fang Yi finally took action. He ducked out of the way, like a ghost, and rushed to the side of the mutated licker in the blink of an eye. The sword flashed. Puff! The mutated licker was cut in half by Fang Yi. The huge upper body slid to Alice's feet, dragging a bloody stain on the ground. Alice, are you okay? Carlos asked with concern. Alice didn't look back and said it was okay. She kept looking at Fang Yi. She didn't even see Fang Yi's attack just now. You know, she is also infected with the T-virus, but she has not mutated, so she is considered a mutant. Both her strength and reaction ability are far beyond ordinary people. Even she cannot see clearly, which is enough to show how powerful Fang Yi is. It seems you have hidden a lot from us, Alice said slowly. Fang Yi frowned and looked around. He could feel that there were monsters lurking in the darkness, waiting for opportunities to move. Now is not a good time to talk about this, there are mutant lickers. Hearing this, Alice's pretty face changed and she didn't dare to be careless. Let's get out of here, Alice said hurriedly. Go through that door, which should be the elevator to the basement. Walk, Fang Yi shouted. The three of them immediately rushed forward. For some unknown reason, the other mutant lickers in the room did not attack and just watched the three of them leave. It seemed that these mutant lickers had already with a certain amount of wisdom. I know that these three people are not easy to mess with. The three of them walked through the room and came to the elevator. They followed the elevator quickly downwards and finally arrived at the core of the lowest level of the hive. Ding! The elevator door opened. What appeared in front of Fang Yi was a large and luxuriously decorated house. On the walls of the house, a field scene was simulated by holographic projection. The effect was clear enough to make illusions come true. It was as if there was a blue sky outside the window. Baiyun. If the elevator behind them hadn't been there, people would have thought that they were not underground at all, but on the ground. In the center of the house was a set of expensive-looking leather sofas. A well-dressed man. The man was sitting on the sofa, drinking red wine leisurely. He was the actual person in charge of the umbrella company, Dr. Isaacs. Standing behind him was Wesker. Seeing these two people, Alice's face changed slightly. She never expected that these two people were actually hiding under the hive. Alice, and this gentleman, I don't know what to call him. Dr. Isaacs smiled and asked, would you like to come over for a drink? This is the 1907 top-shelf snowy champagne. It tastes pretty good. Isaacs, Alice shouted. Hand over the T-virus serum. Hearing this, Dr. Isaacs just smiled faintly, looking like he was sure of victory. Alice, you are still so naive. Do you really think that you are the only human being who is perfectly compatible with the T-virus? Alice's pretty face changed. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.